All right, let's talk about one of the most epic detours in all of history. We're talking about a journey that should have taken about 2 weeks, but instead, it stretched into 40 years. Today, we're jumping into the biblical book of Numbers to figure out how that happens.
This question right here is at the very heart of the book. It's this incredible story of promise, rebellion, and ultimately redemption that follows the nation of Israel right after their dramatic escape from Egypt. So let's start at the beginning. So picture this. The journey starts with this incredible sense of momentum. The people of Israel are standing right at the edge of the wilderness, totally organized and seemingly ready to march straight into the land God had promised them. Now, this was way more than just, crowd control. This was a divine mission to shape a scattered group of former slaves into a disciplined, unified nation. And the whole thing was designed to have God's presence, symbolized by the tabernacle, literally at the center of their camp.
And part of this organization involved a census. But don't think of this as just a head count. It was basically a call to arms. It was all about creating a clear structure, organizing the nation by tribe, not just for wandering, but for the battles they were sure were right around the corner. And get this number, over 500,000 men ready for a fight. And that's not even counting the women, the children, or the entire tribe of Levi, who had their own special jobs serving the tabernacle. This was a massive, formidable nation on the move.
But you know how stories go. All of this incredible preparation, all this divine promise, it was about to run headfirst into a really powerful and destructive enemy. Good old-fashioned human fear. So the plan seemed solid. Send in 12 scouts, one from each tribe, on an intelligence mission. The goal was to build confidence, to come back and say, hey, the land is just as amazing as God said. But instead, this mission became the turning point for a total national crisis of faith. And this is where it all falls apart. You get two completely different reports about the exact same land. 10 of the spies come back with a story based entirely on what they saw through the lens of fear. But 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, they tell a different story, one based on what they believed through the lens of faith in God's power.
Wow. This quote right here gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Their fear didn't just make their enemies look bigger, it made them feel smaller. They completely forgot who they were, God's chosen people, and in their own minds they became insignificant little grasshoppers. And that's what led them to reject the very promise they'd been waiting for. So the nation had a choice. Listen to the 10 voices of fear or the 2 voices of faith. Tragically, they sided with fear. And the consequence for that collective decision, well, it was immediate and absolutely devastating.
And just like that, their disbelief turned a short walk into a 40-year prison sentence. The wilderness they were supposed to just pass through, well, it became their permanent address, and for that entire generation, it became their grave.
And this timeline just shows you the tragedy of it all. Decades, just gone. Wasted in aimless wandering, filled with nonstop complaining and rebellion against Moses. And in a heartbreaking twist, even their incredible leader Moses, in a moment of pure frustration, disobeys God and is told that he too won't be allowed to enter the land. But here's the amazing thing. Even in the middle of this long, drawn-out punishment, God's ultimate plan never ever stopped. He was preserving his people and raising up a whole new generation, one born out in the wilderness, to finally inherit the promise their parents had thrown away. And then you get this absolutely wild story. A foreign king actually hires a prophet, a guy named Balaam, to curse Israel. But under God's power, Balaam literally can't do it. The only words that come out of his mouth are blessings, including this stunning prophecy about a future king from Israel. It was a powerful sign that no human plan could ever stop God's purpose. So at the very end of those 40 years, they take a second census of this new generation. And the number is, well, it's just shocking. It's almost identical to the first census from 4 decades earlier. Think about what that means. Despite all the death, all the judgment, all the wandering, God had faithfully kept his people together, and now they were ready to finally fulfill the promise. So the new generation is counted and ready to go. There's just one last piece of business, the transfer of leadership. In this really moving final act, Moses lays his hands on Joshua, remember him, one of the 2 faithful spies, and officially passes the mantle. This is it, the end of an era, and the final step in preparing the people to cross that river and claim their inheritance.
Okay, so after this epic 40-year saga of failure and faithfulness, what's the point? What are we supposed to actually take away from the book of Numbers?
Well, the lessons are they're timeless. On the one hand, you see the massive cost of fear and unbelief. It literally creates a wilderness of your own making, filled with pointless wandering and delay. But on the other hand, you see that God's promise never fails. He is just, for sure, but he's also incredibly merciful, making sure that his ultimate plan happens, even if it takes a whole new generation to see it through.
And that's really the thought this whole story leaves us with. Israel's journey in that physical desert, it's a powerful metaphor for our own lives, isn't it? The book of Numbers reminds all of us that we're going to face our own wilderness seasons. The crucial question is always the same. Are we going to let fear be our guide, or are we going to choose faith?